The Runes on Weland's Sword by Rudyard Kipling. A smith makes me to betray my man in my first fight. To gather gold at the world's end I am sent. The gold I gather comes into England out of deep water. Like a shining fish, then it descends into deep water. It is not given for goods or gear, but for the thing. The gold I gather a king covets for an ill use. The gold I gather is drawn up out of deep water. Like a shining fish, then it descends into deep water. It is not given for goods or gear, but for the thing.
Uduasha City, where the sun is a mirror and the moon a shadow, where dancers cavort in forbidden operas, making love to forgetting and flaying, where the wealthy play at war with silver swords and silken sashes, where the people mine the dead heart of a burning star for cannonballs and pipework, and where 1,000 secrets hide in a forest of paper and ink. Here, the 5 keybearers reside, the 5 who know the secrets of the broken gates of death. 5 only. There is no 6th spire, forlorn and forgotten in the desert. There is no one who looks to the displaced, the poor and destitute and landless, whose ancestry has been stripped from them by foreign looms and foreign sparkcraft, and no one has ever heard of the House of Ending. But this is their story. Their roots pulled up and burned, they stand in filth up to their necks, and that is precisely why they must keep their heads ever high. Welcome to Uduasha, immigrant. May it fear the name of the house you will build. Welcome to Desperate Attune, an actual play podcast about characters with their identities in peril, played by an international cast devoted to fiction-first gaming, collaborative world-building, and complex character drama. Welcome back to Desperate Attune, everyone. Last session we went to a party. And I think that's all there is to be said about that. No, not really. We went to a party. We met Tamira, Clem's old rival, who attempted to screw with Mumtaz. Actually, who attempted to strike a deal with Mumtaz, but it was all interrupted by Saeeda. Clem was poisoned, and I think where we left off. No, Clem had woken up. Yeah, you had been cured of your unconsciousness. Yeah.
We were hanging out with Aaron.
Yeah. We were sort of in the middle of downtime with, I think, just a few downtime actions remaining. And then we are planning to carry on ahead with the strike against Jasper and his Giselle cheese, which the reason we were at a party last session was that the session before that, the crew struck a blow against Jasper, losing him Omid, and many of his chief best fighters, they have not been replaced. And now the crew is planning to strike hard, having dealt with the Falling Star Sword School some time ago. Now it is time for vengeance for the war against Kethris. And I think that's where we are. Did I miss anything?
We missed the fact that it turned out Tamira is Clem's wife.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that is very relevant, yeah.
I don't think it was exactly made canon. It's not canon in the way that, everybody being Muslim is canon, is all I'm saying.
Uh-huh. Anywho.
I mean, few things are canon like that. So.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Lower your standards, man.
Uh-huh. Anyway,
Sorry, I'm
yes, this is true. This was the bombshell revelation we got at the very end of the session.
Yes.
Who has downtime actions remaining?
I would like to take an extra one. Or at least it doesn't have to be downtime action. I definitely want to have a scene, as I said, with what was the name of the falconer? Captain Peregrine.
Yeah, that's
Captain
the officer.
Peregrine, yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and Ferris Captain
Juleka is the one that we know. Huh?
Ruxana.
Ruxana, yes, who was the Fursan that House Anrakis was attempting to bribe, correct?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want to have a scene that I can turn it into a downtime action with like trading or something. But yeah, that's about it.
Did
And
I?
Okay.
We also were talking about actually speaking to Omid.
Mhm.
Yes. Were we going to do that as gather info for the score, or?
Yeah, I think that's what we're talking about.
Framing that as gather info makes sense. Does anyone else have any other downtime actions or scenes they want to do before we launch into gather info and focusing on the score?
I forget if I took both of my downtime actions. I think I might have.
Sochi, what are you saying?
Yeah, I would really love to indulge my vice, please. I'm pretty stressed
Oh
out.
yeah, aren't you like really fucked up?
Yeah.
Well, I also
Yeah.
need to indulge my vice as well. Again, for the third time.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Can we indulge our vices together somehow?
You did that at the party. That was literally the entire last session.
Yeah, that was
we
the
do
point
that
of the
again?
party, in fact.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then you had breakfast mimosas.
Yeah, but that
They
wasn't
were
my
really
vice.
good mimosas. They were expensive
Uh-huh.
mimosas.
Yes.
My vice is lovers. Sherry Khatam is not my lover, he's my brother.
So let us quickly then begin with a brief scene at the smithy for Clem to indulge their vice. And is this a downtime action you're paying for, or is it one of your default ones?
Yeah, I'm paying for this one.
Yep. Very good. So then, go ahead.
Yeah, let's indulge our vice. So that's a 3, but I do have, I can add +2 to that because of sit of my fire. So I indulge.
Yeah.
May I come as well and gain the benefits of this?
Sure, of course, yeah. I think Clem has, because they're still squatting in Woots's shed. They've got a pit, and they're brewing moonshine in the pit because that's how the Severossi do it, of course.
Yes.
And
I was going to say, no, go ahead. Finish.
No, please.
I was going to say, aside from the moonshine, what I wanted with this scene, just briefly, is actually to see how Clem lives, because I imagine it's in some amount of squalor. And I don't think we've seen Clem's actual personal quarters before, so I think it would be interesting to frame the scene there.
Would
you like to describe it?
Of course, yeah. So it's probably a pretty dark shed, a couple of candles lit to see by. Some books, nothing too exciting, and a hammock slung between probably boxes and piles of supplies for the forge itself, very secreted. Then along the kind of supporting struts of the shed, Clem's got little wax cylinders of recordings as well.
What are the recordings? Is that obvious, or is this like not something that Bidrohi would be able to tell by looking at their containers?
They're not labelled, no.
Yeah. Okay.
Sibling Clem, what are these?
None of your business.
Yeah.
Yes, this is why I'm asking you politely. It's okay if you don't want to tell.
So, Bidrohi, have you brought Mumtaz? Have you brought your girlfriend over here?
No,
Is that what's going on?
No.
Okay.
That'd be weird.
Yeah, that would be weird. Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
It's very weird. They're just what I do in the evenings. I just speak into a recorder. It helps me remember.
A recorder? You mean like an accuracy, like those things with like the big horns?
Yeah, something of the sort. Aaron made me one way back when.
Can I see it? That sounds really cool.
Yeah, of course you can check it out. Of course, yes. I just keep it And I think Clem goes to another box, levers the top off. It's like, I keep it away from prying eyes. It's one of those sort of expensive things you don't want people to know you have. It took quite a lot of cunning to try and get it in here. Get it across the desert, let me tell you. Oh, that was the time. Yeah, but here, have a look. Don't touch it. It's pretty delicate.
Bidrohi's hands freeze in midair. Okay. Wow, damn, this is like really cool, sibling. This is... Honestly, I had no idea that you were like into stuff like this. This is like...
Oh, I'm good with my hands.
So that's why I came to see you, because I wanted your help with something. And I could have gone to like Woods directly. I know he does stuff like this, but like, I don't know, I thought it'd be nicer if I went to a friend. And so like, and then he draws his sword, his sickle sword, and then kind of like holds it and says, "You can do like engravings, right?"
Yes, I can.
Can you do them in Hadrati?
I would need the translation, but I'm not as fluent as I'd like to be. I'm still learning.
I can do that for you. That's fine. Just, it's different kind of writing. But if you're okay with it, I suppose it's just like drawing, right? Okay. If it's okay for you, I would like to have engraved. I don't know if you can do it with like, some sort of fancy metal. I can pay for the extra, but like, just put in like, I don't know, Mumtaz's name. I think that'd be nice. Do you think that'd be nice? Is that too gauche? Is it too much?
I mean, it's an awful permanent thing. It's up to you.
Yeah, if it doesn't work out, I just throw the sword away,
It's a nice sword. I can make you a new one. Would you prefer that?
I think, no, this is the sword that, like, I've been using for, like, the rise up to where we are now. And, like, we're able to do something, like, really big, right? And Mumtaz is part of that story. So, like, Mumtaz's name should be on this sword. And future can come and, like, what happens. But, like, it should be on this sword.
All right, Bidrohi. I'll do that for you. Of course. Do you have... do you want an inlay in that or just an engraving?
I'm going to indulge my vice to see what I can get away with. Okay. So it's a 5. I had 4 stress. I can take that down.
You can prevent an overindulgence because you're sitting at Clem's fire, yes.
Yes, exactly. And I think I leave it up to you. Up to your tastes. I'm spending 2 stash, so I am going to give you some material and so on to work with.
I think it's not inlaid with anything, but Clem paints the blade so that the engraving stands out with the paint that's built up in the indents. So I think they've gone for this sort of shimmering black, opalescent a little bit. It'll catch the light.
Oh, that's really cool because, she's like doing this whole thing with Anish and Rakes and his like shadow silk. It's very, very clever, sibling Clem. Very nice. Thank you. It's really nice. Thank you.
You still owe me that cloak. But hey, we'll call it square. This was fun.
Oh yeah, the cloak. Forgot about that. Okay, no.
I mean, I did get it off of a corpse, so...
Fine, it's your cloak. I'll get you a new cloak. It's fine. Okay. Sibling Clem, new cloak for you very soon. Bam, done. All right. Thank you very much. Love you very much. Bye-bye. And then he runs away to show Mumtaz the sword that he did, because what's a gesture if the person being gestured towards doesn't see that you're gesturing towards them?
Indeed. And I'm sure it's a very sweet and romantic scene, but we also know that there's no dramatic thing happening there because you didn't overindulge. So it's just a nice gift. That is all.
A nice gift that I keep.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So,
I can't believe you're trying to make him feel bad about not overindulging.
Yes. I mean,
I indulged as much as I should.
Yes, I mean you gotta acknowledge as a GM when the players get one over on you, right? Like.
Sure. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. You gotta rage and be like, you got away this time, you meddling kids. Anyway.
It's just collaborative adversarial GMing in that the player collaborates in making you adversarial.
Yes, precisely. So that was our indulge vices, or did Mushfiq also need to indulge vice again?
No, not good. I just don't remember if I actually used up my downtime actions last time. I think I might have.
I think that we did, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you worked on your trauma clock too.
Yeah. Well,
you both worked on your trauma clock and indulged twice. So that's two
that's
things.
true. Yep. Very good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool. Then I guess we have two things. We have gathering information for the score, and we have this scene with Captain Peregrine. And I think it just makes sense to do Peregrine first, so we can focus on the score after that.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Bidrohi,
are you going to see him alone, first of all, or are you bringing any of the crew?
I would like Saeeda to be there, and I would like our community spokesperson, the man, the legend.
Alkader, yes.
Not the myth, because he's real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Alkader, Saeeda, and Bidrohi. All right. And are you meeting them at Falcon's Perch, actually, like at the symbol of authority over the city, or are you meeting them somewhere else? Is this a more anonymous thing, or do you actually go to the halls of authority?
It seems that it's where they would summon us, right? In order to have this kind of meeting.
Yeah,
but I think it's a little bit clandestine what we're proposing.
Okay.
So I think it'd go either way.
Mm-hmm. I think, you know what? I think you propose a clandestine meeting with them, and maybe this is a power move, maybe it's just coincidence. That's just how Captain Peregrine rolls. But he's going to meet you at the spot next to Falcon's Perch, where you have been making out with your girlfriend. This secretive spot next to the wall. And maybe this is just a coincidence. Maybe it's just Peregrine knows that this is a secluded spot next to the perch where no one ever goes.
And
right?
The only person who knows that he knows is Bidrohi.
Yes.
Which is great.
Uh-huh.
Very good. Yeah.
Captain Peregrine just knows the best spots in the city. He's a man of taste. What can I say?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have described this before. It's like a flat, rocky area just as a foot of one of the walls where the lookout sometimes walks by, but he can't unless he leans out over the wall and looks straight down. He's never going to see you here. So it's a nice and secluded spot in that sense. And you're not really meant to have easy access to it, but you can. And this is where Peregrine proposes to meet. And he has brought Roxana, since it's a meeting with both of them. Mm-hmm. And technically, the castle is more under her command than his. So we see this pair, Roxana, this kind of no-nonsense, kind of working class almost Fursan, who does not look best pleased to be here. It's windy today. She's getting sand everywhere. And then we see Peregrine himself, who's standing beside her, looking calm and serene. And Peregrine is a falconer. He is a small man with a pencil moustache. He in every way looks like a bureaucrat. But for this particular meeting, he has his falcon with him.
Mm.
So there is actually a bird perched on his gloved hand.
Have you brought a vulture? Because you know that there's a chance that we might be, comparing birds.
I mean, I don't think that's what Bidrohi would do, but would you like to bring a vulture?
I think I would have told Bidrohi to bring the vulture because it's your vulture. And I feel like, you should, you are more likely to make sure the vulture doesn't do something untoward or more importantly, embarrassing.
Mm-hmm.
What have we named this vulture?
That's a good question. Have we named it? Sorry, go on.
It's the messenger that carries messages back and forth to Moss, right? So
Yes.
Maybe something in this direction.
Oh, I just thought we might have named it something like an old famous Catharsis swordsman. Actually, my first instinct was, did we just name it after one of Bidrohi's favorite swordsmen? But I decided that it would not have been likely because Saeeda would not have let it happen.
I thought you were suggesting just naming it Old Famous for a second there.
You know what? Let's do it.
Old Famous.
Old famous
vulture.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
Captain Peregrine, this is our vulture, Old Famous. He is neither of these things.
Well,
but he will be.
Delightful. I don't know the details or specifics of this meeting, but I trust it is not sport, because we could have done that somewhere more comfortable for poor Captain Roxana here.
No, it's not sport. And I don't know, man. You chose the location, right? But okay. We will, because it's a windy day and it's not good for Captain Roxana's complexion, we shall keep it brief and to the point. Also, Tree, do you think you would have insisted on knowing what the hell I'm here to talk about first, or are you just kind of
No, I think we are now at the point where I trust your judgment, or rather, part of being a teacher is letting your students have enough rope so that when they hang themselves, you can be like, this is why rope is a bad idea.
Yeah. So, Peregrine says, very well, and he releases his bird. And his falcon takes flight. And I think he's a small man, but he has an unusually large bird, because I think that's an interesting contrast. So he doesn't have his name is Peregrine, but he doesn't have a small and light and nimble falcon, right? He has a big fuck off predator that he can barely carry.
Yeah.
And he kind of dramatically throws it into the air and it soars over the city. And these are spirit-bound pets, right? He can see through the eyes of this thing and stuff. So
yeah, unlike old
presumably he just
justified.
Yes, presumably he does this just to make sure that no one followed you or you're spied on, or maybe he is doing it to spy on you. Who knows?
Yeah, anything's possible.
Yeah. Old Famous just looks up at it and refuses to follow, and that's why we like him.
Yep.
Yes.
Unlike literally everyone else in this sword school, Old Famous is not a big showboat.
Yeah. So, speaking of big showboats, okay. To speed up this process, I have asked Alkader sir to bring visual aids. Alkader sir, please show them the big pieces of paper. I can help hold them up against the wind. And we are essentially going to deliver a PowerPoint presentation.
PowerPoint presentation?
Yes. He has brought, absolutely, I'm with you, he has brought a flip note board.
I want to just be clear that it's really good that nobody told Saeeda about the plan, because if they had, the PowerPoint presentation would have been vetoed.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
As you know, in Severus, they have these things that they call pies. In this pie, traditionally they used to have their meats and cooked, and they'd bake it inside these things called pies. Okay, so using the visualization of this pie, imagine we are having slices of pie, right? So before Rising Moon Sword School,
Bidrohi really needs to stop reading business management books that he finds on the street.
No, this is from a cookbook. This is from a culinary history book.
Of course.
I see.
Are we to believe that Uduvasha does not have pies?
Pies are
apparently that's what Bidrohi believes.
Huh?
Pies are fairly Western.
No, I know, but no one's thought of or anything that you cut into slices.
Well, it has to be a pie chart joke.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yes, continue, please.
That is actually that's the real problem, is that it has to be a pie chart joke.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway,
Yeah, we have
Resume with the
pies.
pie charts.
yes. We have pies, and they're from Severus, and
Yeah.
hopefully, and as like sophisticated people, surely they know about Severusi pies. So
Mhm.
we have, as you can see, this is the size of the pie before Rising Moon Sword School, and like before Rising Moon Sword School became like, a little bit of a big deal in the community. There was like crime everywhere. There were like fights with the Skovlanders and all that. And as Captain Ruxana asked, what is the taxation? We were not producing any taxation. But now you can see, because we have visualized bigger pie using numbers that Alkader sir has run. This is bigger pie, and now you see that here is slice that is going as taxation to Fursan. And from the size of these pies and these numbers, which are 100% accurate, because Alkader sir is a meticulous man,
Yes.
you can tell that we are a net positive. I don't know what that word means, but it sounds good. Net positive to Bunderwest area, and also for the Fursan through taxation. And this is the important thing, that let us not be beating around the bushes and so on, which I think is also a Severusi term. We are not on entirely right side of the law, right? But
that is a purely hypothetical statement, of course. We are not admitting to any guilt in any criminal activity.
I think Ruxana looks at you, Saeeda, and says, "Get on with it. This is really bad for my skin."
Sure, but like, I know
Pulls
what,
up
like, are you kidding me? We're not on the right side of the law. These are the military police.
Yes. She
Like,
pulls up a
Bidrohi
veil
is the one who
against
keeps talking about how we're gonna get fucked because we can't keep on getting on the wrong side of the law.
But they already know that.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean we have to acknowledge it.
Yes.
Polite fictions are very important,
Okay.
Anyway,
And then I put my fingers to my lips. Okay. Shh. Okay, shtum, right? Okay, this is how it is. And then Bidrohi doesn't get on with it because it takes him a long time, so I'll just summarize what he says. Essentially, there's always going to be crime in Bunderwest, but the fact that there's now a rising power that especially represents the Kethrisi means that now there's more stability. And it's in fact, I'm going to make the case that it's in fact in the interest of the Fursan to let the Rising Moon Sword School kind of like take over and kind of like be a bigger group, like amongst all the criminal gangs and so on. Kind of like, organized crime is better than unorganized crime for everyone all around, for their tax revenues, and also it means that they have to intervene less. Basing on the real politic that they will not be able to erase crime.
So what is your goal here with this
yeah.
persuasive speech?
Yeah, the goal ultimately is that because we are good for them and that we're going to be getting bigger, there's going to be moments where they will be compelled to act against us because we do something that's like too big for people to ignore, like people outside Bunderwest take note. And I imply that something like that is about to happen.
Yep.
And then I say, when something like that happens, then obviously like you have to do something about it. We understand that totally. And when my proposal to you now is that when you need to like bring the hammer down, you bring it down on a specific individual who will represent the community as a whole and will take the fall for it, and this will be good for the person as well. Yeah.
And I'm gonna say yes, that is why of course we have brought Mr. Alkader, who is the scion of the community and would be more than willing to take on this responsibility.
And I look at Alkader for his reaction.
Because I do think Saeeda's okay with Bidrohi just volunteering to like go to jail all the time. That seems pretty bad, actually. I don't know what this guy Alkader's up to, but it's definitely not something as self-sacrificing as, yeah, man, when the community needs, I will just go to jail.
Yeah, but
I think the interesting response from Alkader here is that for once he's not completely ignorant. He understands what this entails.
Yeah.
But he looks at these two and he says, "I speak for my people. It's true." and he shoots them a very winning smile, which is also slightly sad. He's he's not that self-sacrificing a guy, but he has come to understand, right, that if he's gonna live in his brother's shadow, he has to take on some of the burden his brother took on, and his brother died for the cause. So
that is true. Yeah.
Alkader said, "This is why we love you," and I embrace him for 5 seconds, and then I let him go. And then I say, "But Alkader said, it cannot be you, because let us also be really, really, really real. When people are taken away to prison for like crimes and stuff, people know that they did it, or that is the reputation, right? It is good, in fact, if there is a person whom, when things go down, when you need to bring the hammer down, that there is a person that people in Uduasha will know that this is the guy. This is the guy who did all that. This is the guy to remember. This is the guy to think about. It's good for us, in fact, if we have someone like that. Someone who can have that reputation. Someone who can have that respect.
Quite right.
And
quite right.
Yes.
And your
And that's
sword
me.
school, yeah. He claps a hand on your shoulder and he says, "And your sword school, and you, I understand, stand for that. As for me, I am a non-violent man, and I wish that to be well known to the Fursan." He says, and he hands over the clipboard pointlessly to the Fursan. He just gives it to Rixana as a gift.
Violence is well known.
The pen is much mightier than the sword.
Yes. It sounds like you are angling to get an ability here, which is,
so
of course, Jailbird.
I already took Jailbird, but this is kind of like, because I feel like it's the sort of thing that also requires some fictional scaffolding.
Yes,
and I wanted to have the scene to kind of establish that, and maybe speak to Saeeda about this afterwards. I don't know.
Yes, there is one other thing that you can do here if you want to spend a coin or some stash.
Yeah.
And that is to acquire an asset for the upcoming score, and that asset is simply the Fursan looking the other way once. Because I think you're also setting yourself up for that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, and I think Saeeda will. I will mark documents here actually, because I think Saeeda's the kind of person who may not know exactly what's going on in terms of they came in trusting the Bidrohi had a plan, but definitely has some kind of documents on that's like, oh, here's like a form that like we're applying for permission for something or whatever, right? Like just to like provide some fictional cover, and in this case, fictional in the universe, fictional.
Yes.
So that ideally they don't feel like we're just asking them to do us a favor. It's more like we've done the homework. We just need somebody to submit the homework, I guess, using this tortured analogy.
So either one of you can spend 2 stash or a coin here to roll tier to get an asset, and then you can spend more coin to upgrade it. And I think this coin is less directly bribes to Ruxana, although she does take bribes. That's probably part of it. But also, actually, as you say, getting the bureaucracy to do things for you is expensive. But you can do it with some coin. And what this will mean in this case is basically the Fursan won't necessarily know what you are up to. But they will know that something is going to go down. And they will prepare the appropriate forms to rubber stamp around it, like, yes, there was a totally random burglary, we're looking into it.
Yeah, and I think this also means, even though we've been treating them as such already, this will mean that when we tier up, they will definitely be our ward bosses, and that's actually going to be really bad for us, because that's going to be very expensive.
Yep.
So there's that. Okay, so I'm spending 2 stash to do a playbook training, and then I'm spending 2 stash on top of that to do an acquire asset, and then
I think we should take the acquire asset money out of the vault.
I want to make it out of my own money because I want to reduce my stash for reasons.
Okay.
Is it okay?
Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. And is it okay if I take a bonus dice from your assistants?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I'm getting an extra dice for Alkader helping us, extra dice for that, and so let's see. So that's equals to tier. So we get a quality 1 deniability. Is that good enough?
So I don't think so. I don't think a quality 1 really does much meaningfully here. The Fursan themselves are tier 5, so if you get
Okay.
quality 5, that would mean basically they're entirely on board with you doing this. But I think
Okay.
even something lower level would still be helpful.
I mean, Jasper is a tier 2, right?
Yeah,
So we
Jasper
would
is
need
tier
at
2,
least
so I think
tier
you need...
2 deniability to get rid of him.
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that, so...
Okay.
Yeah.
Tier +1.
What?
Okay.
Yeah, one more coin
okay.
or 2 stash or something.
Yeah, so essentially the playbook, the acquire asset, and then the extra money, all of that is being embodied by some nice gifts for their time.
Yep.
So,
Yes.
Absolutely. And I think what we see is Bidrohi, you have this conversation, you and Alkader have this conversation with Roxana, right?
Mhm.
And Captain Peregrine, he sidles up next to Saeeda and he flexes the fingers of his leather glove and it squeaks faintly.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, it seems the young man is really learning his way around how to do business in Uduasha. Though, of course, he is native. He was bound to pick it up sooner or later. And you?
Yes.
He looks at you curiously, tilting his head. Just,
And
how
I-
are you finding the city? Kind of is his look.
Well, you see, as you say, I rely on my younger relatives, such as Bidrohi, to guide me. I'm not as knowledgeable in such urban settings as he is. And, well, one thing I will say for Utuasha, your mangoes are very good.
Yes. Yes, they are, aren't they? Remind me, which house is it that controls the mango trade? Is it Anixis? He pulls on the fingers of his glove lightly, looking you straight in the eye.
Yes, and I will say, in fact, it may be that it is the House of Endings.
Oh, really? He looks up and he recalls his bird at those words.
Yeah, I mean, you do what you want with that information.
Yeah.
And I think, like, I would have been happy to, if there was a role that to be like, that's such an obvious lie. But at the same time, I'm not gonna, like, I think taking an ability that gave me a big advantage when I tell barefaced lies was a genius move on my part.
So you can absolutely make a move if you want. And what is going on here is that he is leaning on you, right? He is, he is figuring out that you are moving up into the world, and that means you have the attention of certain demonic houses.
Yes.
And he is looking into it. So you can make a move on him here if you wish.
I think, so the move that, like, what I'm trying to do here is to make clear that it is not just that I'm not under a demon house's thumb, right? And like the con of that definitely is that, like, if you attack me, you are not just directly attacking a tool of a demon house, right? I am more independent than that. But at the same time, the pro is you can't just lean on whoever you know in the demon house to lean on me, right? And so I'm purposefully using the House of Endings also to imply that, like, if you don't know who they are, that's because you don't know who we are.
Yeah. Absolutely. You can make this move to flex on enemy. It has standard effect because I think you have done enough to flex to show that you have interesting things going on.
I think one important thing here is that falconers represent House Ankuset, and Kuset's entire thing is finding and binding and destroying deadly arcane entities.
Yeah, they are sort of the inspectors / the spirit wardens.
The spirit wardens, absolutely.
Yeah. They keep track of weird shit going down in the city, and you saying this has implications in itself.
Yeah.
So it's risky standard, I think.
Okay. Do you think it's a sway? It feels like a bluff, right?
Yep.
Do you think it is a bold-faced lie and I get increased effect?
Yes. So okay, fine. Then it's risky great. If you're going for increased effect.
So I think with great effect, what I want here is this person, not Kuset or Kuset itself as a house, but for Peregrine to begin believing that there is that this House of Endings is not just a rumor, that it does exist or something. Right?
So with great effect, you may choose. You can add him as a crew contact, who has contact with the entire crew, or you can add him to your own sheet as not just a contact but a friend, if you succeed in great effect.
Oh,
I mean, his friendship is very dangerous, but he will be willing to do you certain favors. So he can either become a crew contact friendly to the entire crew as a whole, or he can take a special interest in you. I think.
Yeah, I think that
can work.
I know exactly what Saeeda's two instincts here are, and the first is that he should be in contact with the entire crew because we are dealing with him as a team. But on the other hand, Saeeda's other instinct is to take all of the risk on themselves and not let other people interface with that risk. And maybe that makes them a control freak also. No comment about whether that would be true. And in this
but I don't
case,
think, if I may jump in with a thought.
Yeah.
Which is just that if we are setting up a situation where, if there's crimes and so on, then Bidrohi is the fall guy, then it automatically makes sense for him to be looking at the entire crew, not just Saeeda.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Okay, we'll add him as a crew contact finally. He's had so many interactions with the crew, but always more as a threat than as an asset. I think you're in a position here to actually make him an asset because of what Bidrohi is setting up. So we can add him as a crew contact on a success. And we'll see how it goes.
Risky, great. I have 3 this way because I am a good liar. Let's see how it goes. I rolled a 5.
Okay, so what is going to happen here is, unless you resist it, he will become a crew contact, and Captain Peregrine will personally be monitoring and handling the interactions with the Falconers with you. And as his safety fallback, he will make sure that several of the other Falconers are arraigned against you, so you need him. So your status with the Falconers will drop by 1 point.
I like that.
Oh man, I think it's good. I think I like the politics of that, and I like that it's a very obvious play that I can do nothing about.
Yes. So you are now at -1 with the Falconers. You have Captain Peregrine as a crew contact, and he can shield you from their wrath. But they are also aware that you are fucking with things you're not allowed to touch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had him as a rival. Should I remove that?
Yes, I think he has now been turned into a crew contact. Like, you've had him as a rival, but he arrested you, right? And almost
so
did you a favor.
For him, he did. Yeah, but like he did also like throw you in jail. So which is pretty bad.
So I think the relationship with him is shifting. Yeah, he's no longer quite a rival. He's now a crew contact, but he is a crew contact who is exploiting that and making sure you need him. Yeah, and sort of the consequence of this is the Falconers are at -1, and if you lose access to Captain Peregrine for whatever reason, even if he just dies of some unrelated reason, you'll probably drop to -2 with them. So
and being at -2 with your wood boss is a bad idea.
Yeah.
So very good. Okay, great. Once the scene is over, I would like to have a scene with Bidrohi because this seems like something that Bidrohi has decided that he must do, but has not necessarily asked the rest of us how we feel. But
we can see you having a brief conversation walking away. I think there's value in that, and then we'll pivot to Omid after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
That
went very well.
Good job.
It went very well. Now, Bidrohi, I understand that your examples in self-sacrifice have been exceedingly efficient, but you understand that offering to go to jail every time somebody wants a Ketrisi to go to jail is bad. You understand that it is not just bad for you, though I care about you and I hope that you know that, but also it is bad for the school. It is bad for your mother, to whom I have made a promise to look after you. It is bad for many of us.
Okay. But Saeeda auntie, when they come to find someone to take to jail, someone has to go to jail, right?
It need not be you.
Yeah, but like who else? Like, okay, think about it. There's you, and Saeeda auntie, you're quite old. And also, like, if they take you, then like the whole Prince of Endings things becomes like the story, right? We don't necessarily want that. In fact, we definitely don't want that. It's better if this all looks like immigrant crime stuff. So I don't think it should be you. It shouldn't be like Mushfiq Bhai, because like Mushfiq Bhai is barely holding on as it is.
Yeah.
Sibling
You have
claims like
less
not
faith
even,
in him than I, but very well.
and sibling claims not even Kethrisi. And like I don't know, bald Murad and so on. Like I don't know. I don't want to. We have all heard stories of like like big crime bosses and so on, like letting like the underling take the fall, but like that's not us. So
No,
like who's
we would
left?
have let Alkader and Khatam, who is quite visibly the face of our community, who wishes for respect, which is something that he would get if he were to do this, and who is otherwise, in my humble opinion, something of a weasel.
Yeah, but that's why we need him outside, because like, okay, if we send him into jail, then like he'll turn against us for sure, 100%. If he survives it, then he'll turn against us, and we don't want that. But like, think of it this way: if I go to the Falcon's Perch, then this is as part of like a deal. They won't. Okay, they still might, but they probably will not treat me as bad as they could. It'll probably be a little bit okay. And in there, like, I'm a young guy, and they'll be like, holy shit, this guy's like the guy. He's like leading these like badass sword school people. Like that's good for us actually.
Bidrohi,
Yes, listening.
doing things because they are badass is something that I hope to, uh, shall we say, rid you of the habit of, especially because we are already too caught up, I think, in the way that we seem. And I am not immune to this, but it is important that you do not feel that the perception of the rising moon is more important than your safety. Especially if you are putting yourself now in a position where we cannot help it. It is one thing to fight in the Deathlands where all of us are together. It is quite another for you to be in the perch where none of us can reach you.
Auntie, I promise that if I'm in the perch, it'll be fine. And it'll probably be good for us. Like, I can get in there. Like, people like me. That's the other important thing. People really, really like me. I get along very well with people. And that's something that, forgive me, but kind of makes me stand out a little bit amongst us. And like, even if you put me in like really fucked up situation, I can emerge with friends. And like, what kind of friends can I make in Falcon's Perch? People who are probably useful for us. And all this is in the context, remember, Auntie, all this is in the context of them deciding to make an example of someone. Obviously, we don't want them to do that in the first place, but they're going to do that. They're going to grab someone. It's an emergency.
It is the way of rulers to convince us that being ruled is an inevitable. And perhaps now it is. But it is the way of ruling.
Do you think we should have sent Pilot to jail? Because one thing we know about Pilot is they wouldn't get any information out of her.
Are you in the scene now?
No, I'm saying this out of character.
No.
I think I think I'm going to leave it there, and I think what's going to happen is that after this score, I'm going to have a talk with Mushfiq, and we're going to have to figure out some plan. It may actually be like a useless plan. It may not end up doing anything, but it will be a plan that will make both Mushfiq and I feel slightly better about this thing that we're doing.
Okay. I mean, the best case scenario is that we don't get arrested.
Yes.
Yeah, sure, but like, it's bad for a teacher to be like, "Yep, my student going to jail is just unavoidable." I guess I'm so proud of him for realizing that he should go to jail. Yeah, that seems bad. That's you know what? I'm not up for that. So yeah,
I think like usually like me and Mushfiq, we don't approve of what Bidrohi has to say, but this makes sense. We're criminals. Sometimes you gotta go to jail. You need to have a contingency plan. It makes sense.
You should have a contingency plan. I'm saying Bidrohi should have to come up with a contingency plan. He's literally the smallest of us.
Send your happiest, nicest man.
Yeah.
Exactly what I don't want to do. Okay, great. I would like to interrogate Omid. Let's get to that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are we going to talk? Is Mushfiq and Saeeda going to like talk about our approach first, or?
Oh yeah, sure. Let's do that.
But also out of character.
Yes.
I was thinking about what we might say to him because I mean, like thinking about this guy, like we are trying to get him to be our instrument, right? But he is also famously very self-serving, and he is definitely going to try to betray us at some point. So we need to somehow make him see that working with us is in his best interest as well.
I have a
Yeah,
solution for this.
All right. Okay.
And it was going to be, well, I mean, we could just do another Aquarius, I guess. But my solution is that I'm going to ask Shahryar, whom I know to be a great and mighty mage, to form a ghost contract between me and Umid. Or anybody else if they want to do that.
That'll do the trick.
And then if either of us breaks the contract, we immediately suffer some kind of immediate level 3 harm, which means we can do nothing.
Yeah, well, that works. I was going to do something like, more, like say something like about how the, tides are turning, or how like, ever since the war.
You can do that.
Yeah, but like your one's way better, so we're gonna do that.
I think maybe the conversation we have is you bring this up, and I'm just like, oh no, I'm a friend who can just like make a ghost contract happen. So we can do your thing, but maybe we should not do. I think I'm trying to be nice to you, and you just say, no, auntie, it's okay. We can just we can do contract. It's fine.
Yeah. All right, let's go talk to Ahmed. Or
Yes.
let's have maybe like Saeeda and Mushfiq find each other somewhere.
Yes. My question for you is: do you take him out of the holding cell, or do you go see him in the holding cell?
No, we're seeing him in the holding cell. We're gonna go see him in the holding cell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So he is. I think we'll just cut to the two of you entering the holding cell. He is laid out on whatever bed he has in there. And yeah.
All right. Yeah. So Mushfiq opens the door. I think fairly cheerful. It's been a good few days, and he looks at Omid and he goes, "Hello, Omid. How are you? My boys been treating you all right?"
Yeah, they have. Although I'm getting a little sick of gulab jamun.
Oh, well, they have. I need to have a word with them about that.
He sits up and he goes, "Plenty of time to think in here, though. I appreciate that."
Is that right? And what have you been thinking about?
Well, who do you think? He says, and he looks at you.
Well, I'm flattered. Well, I'll give you something else to think about. I've got some news for you. Some of it good, some of it bad. Which one would you like first?
I doubt any of it's good, so start wherever you like.
All right. Well, let's start with the bad one, and then we'll sweeten it up with the good.
You just see Saeeda sitting, in fact, rolling a cigarette. Because I think something that has happened to Saeeda over the last few months is that they have fully taken up this habit, which they had rid themselves of. And I know the vice is mangoes, which it is, but in many ways, this is the useless vice. It's the vice that does give relieve stress. But sorry, go on.
Yeah. So Mushfiq goes, okay, I'll give you the bad news, and we'll sweeten up with some good. Yeah. So the bad news is Jasper Giseltis is going to go through what you might call a takeover by us, and we're going to be downsizing. But
I believe they call it vulture capital, vulture takeover, vulture asset, something. Vultures were involved.
His face remains inscrutable. You can totally study him or something here, but he doesn't immediately give away how he feels about this. He just observes it.
I think I'd like to study him, especially because I'm the one in the background.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a standard effect, controlled position, because you control the situation. But there is some small amount of risk involved in studying him, I think.
Hey, by the way, I keep forgetting this, but we have an extra die for gather info and for acquire assets from claims. So,
Mm.
Bidrohi, I think you should roll another die to see whether we get a 6 for that difficulty. And then
we can
in
take
this
some
case,
resources back.
yeah, exactly.
I think
and then
instead
this
of getting
case,
resources back, we bump it up. Please
Okay.
continue.
or that, yeah,
Yep.
sure.
Oh yeah,
And it's a
there we
6.
go. It's 6. Hmm.
Okay, so it's
Wait.
a tier 3 asset. Very
Oh
good.
wait, no, sorry. It's just rolling 6. That's not right.
Oh, yes. If you roll a one-sided die, you always roll the. But you still roll the 6 anyway. Yes, very good.
Yes. Yeah. Nice. Okay, so that's a tier quality 3 deniability thing. I don't know whatever that means.
It means that even if we murder somebody, we might not get pinned for it. That's what I think it means.
Nice.
Yeah. I think that's reasonable as well. We'll note down that it's tier 3. I'm imagining it one of two ways. Either it comes up organically during the score, that we just go like, now we spend this asset to get out of some consequence. Or it will reduce heat at the end of the score if it hasn't been used.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. Okay, so study, controlled, standard. Is this a gather info? Oh, sorry, I have loyal vizier. Whenever I gather info to anticipate possible threats in the current situation, I get +1 effect. So I'm at controlled great.
Okay. Sure, you will get great information out of them.
This is basically just bodyguard. Yeah. So controlled great, but it's not a gather. Is it a gather info? Do I get the die from?
No, it's not a gather info.
Right?
We're leading up to your gathered info about Jasper, but for now you're just studying Omid.
Yeah.
This is not the info for a score. So it's a 2 and a 2. Amazing. So you can try again from a risky position, and I think the risky position here is you can reach out to him through the ghost field and try to read his emotions with your supernatural senses.
To do it.
But he, like, as far as mundane feelings go, he is just naturally stone-faced. He has enough resting bitch face that you have no idea what he's thinking. So I think it's just lost opportunity in this case.
No, I think that's very fair. I think I will try again from a risky position here. Is it attune rather than study in that case, or is it so?
Yes, I think so. I think it's both switching the action and the effect. So you can attune with risky great. You will retain your great effect, trying to figure something out about him.
Yeah, and I think in that case, what we see is this is happening very quickly, right? Like Mushfiq has just said this, and Saeeda's in the background, and then it's just going to take like a couple of seconds.
Yep.
0 bonus dice. 6.
Oh yes.
Okay. Right. What do you realize here? Well, what do you want to know? Let me frame it like this. You get a 6, so you get very good information here. What is your chief concern to find out about him?
I think the chief thing that I want to know from him is how best can I either convince him, how best can we convince him, right? What approach is going to ensure that he flips to our side?
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So here is the thing. We know about him that he's cynical. He has never been idealistic about Ketris. He has never been idealistic about the gentleman. And so the case... I think you're getting this information through the ghost field. So I think the interesting information you get here is Omid is completely disconnected from the ancestor trees. He has no ancestry. He has never been like baptized, or however you want to call it, welcomed into the Kethrisi fold. He is probably an orphan or a bastard or something of that nature, and he was treated as an outsider ever since childhood. This is a man to whom Kethrisi society spat on. You are quite sure of that,
right?
The kid just gave bad vibes. What can we say?
Yeah. For whatever reason, he belongs to. I mean, every society has these strata, and he belonged to them. People who were viewed as lesser. And the reason you surmise, then, this is what the ghost field tells you. Basically, he has no ancestors, which I think in Ketris, considering how important the ancestor trees are, is very, very stigmatized. You're basically worthless as a person. Yeah. And what Jasper did was gave him money. It's as simple as that. He has no real loyalty to the Jasper beyond that. He realized that he was a cynical, greedy, capitalist fuck But a cynical, greedy capitalist fuck is better than ritual uncleanness, and at least he didn't care about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that. So I think how best to convey this to Mushfiq. I think I will just. Oh, I know what I'm going to do, and I think this is going to imply to Mushfiq is that I am going to reach over to him and just like pat him on the shoulder and say, maybe our guest would like a banana.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Omid laughs and says, "No bananas for me, thank you." And I think, actually, given their symbolic importance, I think this information becomes clear to Mushfiq as well. That, like, Omid... I mean, you already kind of knew he rejected the ancestor trees because he burned them down. But I guess now, Saeeda conveys to you that they rejected him first.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess, do we learn that the way to get to him is to maybe offer him, like, just a better, like, material stuff then?
I think if you want to be cynical, I think it's offer him material is like just make his life better. If you want to be idealistic, you could say, "Join us, brother. Yeah, we forgive you," or something.
Yeah, I think this is one of those things that deep down he probably wants community, but he's also not going to believe any Kethrisi person that offers it just because he has a lifetime of evidence to the contrary. So it's going to be much tougher to persuade him to believe in community.
I was going to say that I think, given the sort of history of Mushfiq and Omid, I don't think Mushfiq is particularly actually interested in reforming him. This is more this is more about Mushfiq trying to like make up for his failures, not trying to make Omid a better person or anything like that. Yeah. In which case, I think we're just gonna go for the angle of just just saying that, look, this is the best thing for him too. Where was I? Okay, so we say they're gonna downsize, get the information. Okay, and then Mushfiq goes, all right. But yeah, that brings us to the good news, as we might be doing some internal promotions, right? And your name has come up with. There is a catch, of course. You're gonna be doing exactly what we say and only what we say. But given where you are, it's probably your best bet for career advancement.
I've been in similar situations, he says cynically, because this is how Kethrisi society always treated him. So
yeah, absolutely.
Does it pay?
Yeah, we'll talk about pay. Let's do a little bit of an interview first, shall we? We need some information, and where better to get it?
All right. So what do you want? You want Jasper dead? That's it?
That's about the size of it, yeah. And his stuff. We want his stuff.
And the more stuff you get, my cut is going to be small, but... Well, there's a book in here about pies. It says something about a small slice of a big pie. I don't really get it, but someone has left the pie book in the holding cell.
I take a long drag. A very long drag of the cigarette.
I'm sure Omid asked for reading material at some point. He was bored. Yeah.
He may have just asked for toilet paper, but okay.
Yes, someone gave him a Severosi cookbook, and he actually read it because he was very bored.
Yeah.
I think we're in a position to roll gather information. Like, he's...
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll see what he knows. I think it comes down to that. I think he will share what he knows at this point, because if nothing else, like, if you go to this score and you bring back a lot of money, he gets some of the money. If you go to the score and you die, well, nice.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I cannot blame him. I will give you 1 die to assist. But also, if it is okay with everybody, I will spend a coin from our cruise ships to eat a mango. Because it'll put me at 6 stress.
Okay.
So interesting thing here. We have high society, and and Jasper is described as Parvenu. So he has bought his way into high society.
Yep.
So essentially, we get 2 bonus dice.
Interesting.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Gather information with 2 bonus dice, and it's up to Mushfiq what it is. It's probably consort, I guess. You are consorting with a person from your background, but it could be another action.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna let me roll consort where I have points, then
So consort with 2 bonus dice. Saeeda eats a mango. It's not a very good mango. It's not quite ripe.
I think it's that like you shouldn't be eating it. I think Saeeda does feel like a bit bad, right? Like because it's the kind of thing where you're like, oh yeah, revolution,
it's
but
a
not
critical.
for the oppressed. Oh wow, okay. So basically, I think Saeeda like does recognize the hypocrisy inherent in the system here. A and B, it is really mean that like maybe what I've done is that a day earlier I'd come into the vault where he is imprisoned to take some money out to go buy a mango.
Yes. Uh-huh.
That's fucked up, man.
Yes. So you are stressed out by the situation. The mango does not help. Maybe it's a good mango because all mangoes are good mangoes. You're just not very focused on it. You can't quite enjoy the taste. But you do get very good information here because this is a critical success. So, how about we'll frame it like this on a crit? Everyone in the crew gets 1 question. This is not normally how the game works, but I think it's interesting. Everyone in the crew gets 1 question, and I will answer that like as well as Omid reasonably would know. Because then I think we go the entire crew around, we get good intel, and it's an interesting way to spin a crit. So starting with Mushfiq, because he's carrying out the interrogation, what are you most interested in about Jasper and his home?
Okay, I'll just ask the question to him. Right, okay. So here goes. You've got men there who are loyal to you, right? You say jump. This is how high.
Yeah.
Loyal to you personally?
A few. Most of them died in the desert. But yeah, some.
Well, however many you've got. You're gonna
yeah, I mean, most of them did die in the desert, though. Awkward.
Oh, did they? I thought that was wasn't it? I mean, there weren't so many of them. There were like
but I don't think he had that many people loyal to him in the first place, right? Like the kind of loyalty you're talking about. It seems like he would have had like maybe a dozen, and we murdered about 8 of them.
No, okay, sure. All right, it's okay. We can pivot this question into all right. Well, however many you've got, if you don't want any more of them to die, you're gonna write up an order. Tell them to leave Jasper's home, and maybe leave the door unlocked on the way out. Make sense?
Okay, yeah. So this isn't really strictly a gather information, but I suppose but we can frame it as such. So I think what he will tell you is basically he is in no position to order them right now because he's like if they find out he's not dead, they're going to start asking a lot of questions. But he can tell you the exact schedule of the people who are loyal to him and when they're not going to be around.
Okay.
So you will get that information. And I think the people who are most loyal to him are people who are outsiders like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think his closest lieutenant is a former Silver Nail called Sylvain, because we established that the Silver Nails are kind of also outsiders in the Severus culture.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
So
what name did you say?
Sylvain.
Sylvain. Okay.
And this person is not going to be there, so it's a little bit pointless to give them a name, but they could be an angle to work also. I think Sylvain and their nails is, or their like ragtag group of other people who hang out together. It's kind of an informal structure. They like to go gambling in Pasarhantu. It's a common thing there, which means that your Bone Shaker friends might have an angle on them as well. But what Omid can simply do is be like, yeah, they're going to be mostly off gambling on this day.
We know when their day off is, right?
Yeah.
And it's I don't know if Omid is the kind of person who cares, but it does mean that they're not going to be around when we make our moves, right?
Yeah.
So they're not in the line of fire.
Yeah, what is interesting about this too is that the people who are around are going to be the people most strongly personally loyal to Jasper, which means that they're mostly going to be Akarosi, I think, because I think Omid and Sylvain kind of handle the like Foreign Legion people.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whereas Jasper's gang are mostly Akarosi, which the advantage this gives you is that you know that the mansion will be staffed by Akarosi people who don't really know Udwasha all that well.
I'm not sure if I agree with this because like I think like mercenaries and so on have been like because we're drawing from like history here, right? So I think like the thing that I've been thinking of was like mercenaries across like India and so on who would like fight for anyone. So I don't
No, that's
necessarily think, that I'm sure there's a few accuracy in there, but I don't necessarily think Jasper's like his score is accuracy,
no,
and he's got like
no.
foreigners on the payroll.
I don't mean to say that at the core of it, but I do mean that Omid hangs out with these people who are the
That's
people
true.
who know Udwasha best. Like, which
That
isn't to
makes
say
sense.
that none of Jasper's people are Udwashans and that none of Jasper's people know
Mm.
it, but the people who are like the most cosmopolitan are also the people who are friends with Omid, and therefore
Okay.
the people he can inform you about.
Makes
Right.
sense. All right.
So it's not going to be just totally an all accuracy league, but the advantage this gives you is if you strike at this date, you can strike with the people who are less familiar with the city around.
Okay.
Right.
We have more questions though. Let's do Bidrohi's question next.
Yeah. So who are the? I was going to ask who is the most, but I think there'll be more than one. Who are the most dangerous fighters to look out for?
So Jasper himself is like more of a businessman, but I think he is kind of a badass, especially with a gun. He's a crack shot, and he has long experience. So I think it just straightforwardly makes sense for him to be one of them. And let's have one of his deadliest fighters actually be like an accuracy, just to shift it up. Someone who's been with him a long time, who is both deadly and very loyal to him.
Can
What
I
sort of-
suggest
Yeah?
an ex-Leviathan sailor?
Yeah.
Someone who, like, the reason that he's badass is I mean, it doesn't have to be he, but the reason this person is badass is not just that, like, they've been with Jasper a long time and so on, but also because the job they used to do before this required them to be someone, like, very able to, like, look after themselves. Right?
So what's a suitable name here?
Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald. Yes, that's a surname. Meredith Fitzgerald. That's a
Meredith
long-ass name.
Fitzgerald. Yes,
Yeah.
Nice.
correct.
Ex-Leviathan sailor. That does sound actually like it could be accuracy, like noble name, which a lot of the sailors are, right? Because it's a high prestigious position. So yeah,
If I remember
Meredith
correctly,
Fitzgerald.
Fitz is just a word for basket, right? So, like,
Yeah.
usually,
Yeah, exactly.
So it's entirely
you're put
possible
on a ship.
Meredith is, yeah. Oh man, that's really fucked up. That, like, maybe a lot of Leviathan, like, middle management on Leviathan hunter ships are, like, not noble born, but noble blooded, right? So, like, they are, like, kind of loyal to the noble house, but also somewhat,
This does
like,
sound like
disposable.
exactly like this does sound exactly like something the British would do. Just
Yeah.
be like, I'll put you on a ship so you don't embarrass the family. I don't know if they did, but it sounds plausible. So Meredith Fitzgerald.
Yeah. I invite the only British person in our group to comment if they would like.
No comment. Absolutely none.
Cool.
I would like a question from you though, Salty. So I think what we have established about the most badass people, it's Jasper and this Meredith Fitzgerald. And I think Meredith Fitzgerald is more badass than Jasper. That's usually how it works.
Yes.
She doesn't do business.
Right.
She's 100% about fighting. And I guess the other detail about her, she's also good with melee weapons, unlike most of the Giselle cheese, because she used to be in a Leviathan ship.
Right.
All right. What would Clem like to know?
I would like to add one other badass person, if I may.
Okay.
His name is Sulfur Sam. He
Sulfur
throws
Sam.
grenades. He throws grenades. That's his personality.
Yes.
His personality is bomb.
Yeah. Sulfur Sam. With a row of an accuracy grenadier. Yes.
Right. I thought I'd made my own. Like, I just realized what I'd done. Of course, is because I was gonna ask about their supernatural defenses, and then I realized I introduced the Leviathan Hunter Sailor, so I already know what the defenses are. They're very good. So now there's also a bomb person.
Yes.
Great.
You can think of that. I would like to hear Clem's question though, because I think let's move on.
Yeah.
What place are the Giselchis parasitically occupying? The brothel, dancing hall, inn? I'm thinking there's an angle there we could go for.
Yeah. Okay. So we established that Omid's gang go out gambling, but let's split them up a little bit then. So that faction of them occupy the gambling dens, and what is the vice of the rest of the I have an idea that kind of goes well with how I'd imagined the house. I think it's a brothel / bathing house, or like slash sauna. The playful turtle isn't the only sauna, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a brothel slash spa kind of place. It's in Pasarhantu. It's extremely janky and like much less fancy than the proper spas, but they do get hot water piped in via the steamworks.
Which is a key requirement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So let's give this establishment a name.
The Naughty Naiad.
Perfect.
I mean, do they get their water legally?
I think that they would, actually, because the... or you know what? You roll the crit. I'll let you decide. Whichever is more convenient for you is true. If it's legal or illegal.
I think they get it legally, but they don't pay for all of it.
Yep. Okay, so they have some outstanding bills. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And to get this into play, it's probably also quite close to Jasper's mansion, because I think another thing I had in mind for Jasper's house is Pasarhantu has shit infrastructure in general, because it's a tangled mess of a district. But his house, specifically, I think, is equipped with modern amenities. And it was a bitch to get them installed, to pull them past all of the, like, ramshackle homes in this district. And it
Oh my
probably
God,
was the situation. Yeah.
I bet it's ugly as shit.
Yeah.
Also
Yes.
keeps the neighbors up at all hours of night, right?
Oh yeah, it's and it probably was the case that like some of the neighbors had their homes demolished to make way for the pipe work and shit. Like he steamrolled people to get this, but his house actually has modern amenities, which means I think it's pretty close to the Naughty Naiad because, you know, there's a water main somewhere they're both getting water from.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm imagining that scene from like, I don't know, I haven't actually seen the movie, but I've seen like a gif of it, like from Crazy Rich Asians. We built the place like the Palace of Versailles.
Is that what happens in that film? I declined to watch that film on principle, but I believe you that that's what happened in that film.
Yes.
Very good.
Welcome to Singapore. Anyway.
Yes. Well, you know.
Okay, cool. So the Naughty Naiad, located nearby, shares a water main with Jasper's establishment, or with Jasper's home, I should say.
I bet like Jasper also has like a gigantic swimming pool with like a fountain where he's got like a giant brass statue of himself dressed like a merman. But like only he's allowed to use it.
Yeah, quite possible, yeah. I think it's not like a swimming pool. I think it's like a bubble bath jacuzzi type thing. That seems more in line with him.
Oh my god! Like, why would you want to take a bubble bath next to a statue of yourself? Rich people are so weird.
Yes, this is totally a thing Jasper does. He takes bubble baths next to a statue of himself.
Nice.
Yeah, I like it.
It's his selfie. It was a very expensive selfie.
Oh my god! Yeah, very good.
What does Saeeda want to ask now? So what were you to ask Saeeda? No, Saeeda asks, right? Yeah.
Saeeda
Yeah.
asks.
Given that my supernatural defenses question has been preempted by myself, I just looked at Stone Top Seek Insight questions. I'm just going to ask, I think, what is my favorite question on this list, which is, what in Jasper's house is not what it appears to be?
Oh, what in Jasper's house is not what it appears to be? Okay. My spontaneous answers, I guess we'll go with that, is he has a panic room.
Oh, yes! Very important information. Yeah. Cool.
That's why he's got the statue.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's why nobody else can get in the bath, right? Because there's a button in there that, 100%.
Yes.
Okay.
He has access to a panic room from which he can, among other things, like control his electroplasmic security. It's stashed with guns. I mean, this guy is a mercenary / organized criminal, right? So he has a very, by the standards of this setting at least, an extremely modern panic room to which he can retreat to arm himself, lock himself up, like telephone line to call for help, etc.
Yeah, we are not the first people to consider attacking this man.
Oh no, absolutely not. Yeah,
it's going to end like Tony Montana emerging, say hello to my little friend.
So it'll be as impressive with the Giselle though. Just say hello to my little friend. Give me a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, now say hello again.
Damn.
That's what the butler is for. He's the reloading guy.
Yes.
Oh, he's the reloading guy. He just hands you another gun while he reloads you. He reloads your first one. Yep, that makes sense.
What's interesting about what's interesting about the telephone line is I don't think telephone lines are used much at all in Uduasha because electroplasmic, the infrastructure hasn't been really built So I think this telephone line probably goes to someone like the Lord Governor.
Oh, that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Like, he somehow managed to. Oh, it's just part of his water main thing. He also has a like, it's not legal, but a phone in the Lord Governor's house does ring when he rings it, which is bad.
Yeah,
One of the few things we know about the Lord Governor is that he likes to go out hunting, and he's a crack shot.
Mhm.
They're hunting buddies.
Yeah, they probably are hunting buddies, and it makes sense, right? He's not
illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a mercenary. He's not going to call on the law, right? He's going to call for allies.
Yeah.
That's his angle. And I guess the Lord Governor is one of them.
Yeah, that makes sense. Great. Fantastic. So I love that gather info turned into how can we make this man even more of a threat to us?
Yes.
That's really
Well, to be fair, he was already gonna be a threat. So
no, sure. But, I mean,
you're just prepared for how now.
Yeah, we didn't need to involve the Lord Governor. We just chose to.
Mm-hmm. Bear in mind, there's no guarantee the Lord Governor would actually answer. I don't think they're that close, or the Lord Governor would have hired him. Like, because remember, the Lord Governor explicitly hired the Silver Nails instead of Jasper's gang to do a job for him last time. So they're not that close, but close enough that he could place an emergency call and beg for help. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Dad, these guys are like being really mean to me. And then Dad remembers.
Oh, shit. Somebody better stop me from me picking up that phone when I discover it exists, ringing the Lord Governor and like prank calling him or something.
Yes.
That's bad. That's not Saeeda. That's me, Tree, saying
Saeeda would totally prank call him. He'd pick it up and be like, "What is it? What's the emergency?" And Saeeda goes, "They threw Prince Katam into the wilderness when he was done," and just hang up.
I bet the Lord Governor only speaks accuracy in an accent that is completely impenetrable to Saeeda.
Yeah.
Very good.
Mostly just harumping.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, his name is Pietro Gustapi, so he's Italian.
Oh, okay.
Right.
What's that?
Anyway.
Okay. Anyway, yes.
We have gathered information.
Correct.
Okay. Cool.
What's our point of entry? How are we swinging this? And then let's launch. Yeah.
Which I think is part of engagement in terms of like our approach, which is, are we bringing our cohort A, and B, are we bringing also our other cohort, which is Aaron? Because he has been on the battlefield. He could be really useful as a battlefield medic.
Yeah.
Is Mona Darling?
But I don't know whether it's fair to him to be like, "Hey man, why don't you come with us when we assault this extremely dangerous man?"
I was gonna ask, is Mona Darling still around? And if she is, how would she feel about another suicidal assault on heavily guarded?
Just don't tell her it's suicidal.
Yeah. I think you should probably not tell her that.
We should just say, have you got another Halford mask?
Yeah.
Listen, just don't ruin the vibes, okay?
Tasteful, yeah.
I will point out that her mask is slowly turning her face into the mask.
Yeah.
So,
but yes, no, I don't think she's super happy about this. On the other hand, right, there is a difference actually, because the last assault plan she took part in was basically just because a random temple had kind of insulted Ramu.
Yeah.
This is people responsible for, wiping out presumably her family some time ago.
Yeah.
Like the Kethrisi really don't like Jasper and the Giselle Chiefs, so there's motivation here at least. But I don't think she's happy about it still. I don't think she's optimistic about this.
Think about it this way. When Ramu led the Rising Moon Sword School against the Temple of the Chakraborty, it was 6 badass swords people, or 7 of them or something, coming in and coming into a balcony where an old man was having breakfast, and somehow this got them insta-wiped.
Yeah.
Total particle. So, and since then, Mona Darling has gone on a high-stakes raid in the Deathlands. So I think she's probably fine.
I think she's not afraid of the combat per se, right? She just isn't a huge fan of assaults after her experience with them.
She's scared of buildings.
Yeah.
Scared of buildings. That's why she goes in. That's why she goes into the old city where there are no buildings anymore. It all makes sense now. Okay.
Buildings give bad.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
All right, let's do engagement.
yes,
Yeah,
you can get your cohort on board. Are you bringing Aaron?
Yeah, I think so. At least, Clem is
Salty.
essentially Aaron's
Yeah,
owner.
exactly. Salty, what do you
Clem
think?
is Aaron's owner. More insights into Clem's incredible love life.
I don't like this.
You- They're your NPC. You own them. That's how it works.
I mean, it's
So,
up
by
to
the way,
you.
sorry. Speaking of they're your NPC, what this meant is actually we didn't have to do that ghost contract thing with Omid, right? Because the regular contract worked just fine.
Yeah.
Well, for now, all you've gotten from
Yeah,
him is
okay.
information so far.
Sure. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay.
But yes, Clem, what do you think?
I mean, I think it would be interesting to have him on the scene. I mean, the angle I was thinking of was we have this battle, but also we've got the water pipes now that lead into the kind of panic room that we know about.
Yeah.
Aaron doesn't pay his utility bills. The issue
No.
is I was thinking of bringing in the water bearers to essentially help us here, potentially, given that the
Yeah.
naughty Mary doesn't pay their water bills.
Yeah, but Aaron is not going to be anywhere near the water bears, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't want to put him near them, but that was an angle I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm. Let's bring in the water bears instead of Aaron, is my spontaneous thought. I think your idea is more interesting here.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Mushfiq or somebody could sneak in, because I just really love the image of Jasper going to the panic room and Mushfiq or one of the Rising Moon being there already.
Oh,
Yeah.
falling out through the pipes.
Evocative.
Very good.
Yeah, crawling up through the pipes or getting in with the water bears' aid, maybe. They would have access to whatever utility stuff is needed.
Yeah.
'Cause
The water bearers also employ a gang of fucked up assassin thieves and so on who spend their time crawling in and around the pipes.
yeah, somehow, Klow, when you wrote up the factions, you made the plumbers like the most badass and scary people in all of Udasha. So
Hey, man.
Hey,
As it should be.
That was the brief. That was the
yeah.
brief.
hey, Mushfiq's a fucked up assassin type. He should get in on this pipe crawling action.
Yes, become friends with the assassin plumbers that are after Clem's best friend. What could possibly go wrong? Good. Cool. So, I
Yeah,
ask
for a
again,
good time, not for a long time.
what's our point of entry, actually? Like, how are we entering this place?
So this is Pastor Hunter, right? So is it?
It's a very vertical district, yeah.
Very vertical. So I mean, as the guy with the hook shot, I would have probably tried a top-down kind of like an aerial approach, perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's like...
Should we split up?
Yeah, I think maybe it makes sense to split up. I think it's... The main gang just rushes in through the front door, as it were, because I think that's the best we can expect from the cohorts just by themselves. And I think the rest of us can decide our points of entry. I want to come in by hang glider.
Okay.
Okay,
I
but
think
yeah,
one
it is an
person-
assault. We
Yeah.
don't need to specify more than that, but there's no like clever plan, there's no back doors, there's no sneaking really. There's getting close enough that we can get over the wall by whatever means, or through the door.
There might be one slight element of sneaking, which is that we need to get to Jasper quickly. Like they can't raise the alarm and then have him, give him time to escape, right? So there might be a bit of sneaking about to maybe like, at least for Mushfiq, like if this is gonna be a hit on Jasper, then we might have to take a faster route to get around some guards.
Yeah, but it's
I
still
like the
fundamentally an
idea-
assault plan.
Yeah.
You're rushing more than sneaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that
Um,
that is our point of entry, and you have a +1 to assault from a special ability.
Yes.
So you start with 2
yeah,
dice.
yeah. So I just wanted to clarify: are we doing the sneaking up the pipes thing or not?
Someone can. I don't think that's what Bidrohi is going to do.
An individual can, but the main brunt of the
Okay.
gang is going in the front door.
There's
Okay, I
also...
think in that case, no, go on.
Just because Salty devoted time to learning about the naughty Naiad, I don't know if Clem wants to lead like a one person or like, go in by themselves or like take a couple people to lock those people down. I don't know. Just flagging that, I don't want to shut that down in case that was an idea.
I mean, our cohort are also skulks.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we've got
Our cohort
Shit,
also
yeah.
skulks. In that case, I actually think
I think an
We should-
angle here is that
yeah.
the Naughty Naiad and Jasper's house share the same maintenance tunnel for the
Mhm.
water
Yeah.
bearers.
Mm.
So I think that I would like to sneak, I would like to get into the Naughty Naiad and then sneak into the panic room using the maintenance tunnel, and then when the assault happens, Jasper will invariably exit in order to go to the panic room, and then we will be waiting for it.
And we have someone with the Sparkcraft drill. How about this? Saeeda, Clem, and the rest of the cohort attack the Naughty Naiad, and then they go into the maintenance tunnel. And Bidrohi and Mushfiq go in from the top onto the house, and they kind of start a fight there, so that the two of us, I think, can lock down, because most of them are going to be at the Naughty Naiad. That's going to be where most of them are. So we can lock down whoever's still in the house, keep them distracted up top while you guys sneak in from below.
Exactly. I think that's a good plan.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Right.
We have our point of entry. A two-pronged attack via the Naughty Naiad and the rooftop.
Yes.
Fantastic. Is this operation particularly bold or daring? Hell yeah. So you're 3 dice because of your special ability. Is this operation overly complex or contingent on many factors? Probably not. Right? You're doing a pincer attack. That's not overly complex. It's a little bit complex, but... So still 3.
To not lose this die. So,
Does the plan's detail expose the vulnerability of the target or hit them where they're weakest? Yes. So that's 4.
Yeah,
Is the target strongest against this approach, or do they have particular defenses or special preparations? I think, again, yes, because even though you have a vulnerability in the panic room, it's still a panic room. You can confront the guy in there all you want, but he's going to be surrounded by his
still going to be
best
surrounded by
guns.
his own guns. Yep.
I think that's by default. Someone like this is going to be expecting attacks all the time.
Yeah. So we're back to 3 dice. Can any of your friends or contacts provide aid or insight for this operation?
They have, right?
Have they? What friends or contacts have actually been invoked here?
Omid.
You've used your cohort, but... Omid! Yeah, fair. You did roll a crit, so yes, let's count Omid as a friend for this and bring you back to 4. Anyone's enemies or rivals interfering?
Oh, can we also really quickly get the Bone Shakers in on this?
What's your angle for getting them in on this?
We so essentially we aren't just trying to take Jasper down. We're also going to steal a whole bunch of his shit and fence it. So we need them to fence it, and that's what we're going to offer them, a cut of that. And in return, they could add some more muscle to the Naughty Naiad attack. Is that possible?
All right. Yes, I think it is. I think the angle also is they'll be distracting the people who are going gambling, so they're just not an issue at all.
Okay.
That would be
do
really
I
good.
make a roll for this, or is it just something that happens?
I think it just happens. They are at +2 with you.
Okay, cool.
I will note
it's
down that the
definitely good.
consequence of this is that if things go well, the Bone Shakers will continue to tear up.
Yeah, and they'll take some of the payoff for themselves. But hopefully we'll get a lot of payoff.
Yep. So that's it.
Okay.
That puts us as 4 dice, and then I ask, are any enemies or rivals interfering? Anyone want to volunteer their rival?
Yes. Do you think Omid himself could interfere somehow? I think he would try to hedge his. I don't know how. If you can come up with an idea of how he could interfere from.
Oh yeah. I don't think he can interfere personally, but he told you, right? I can't really send a letter. They'll know I'm alive.
Yeah.
And then he somehow sends a letter.
I think it'd be funny. I think it'd be great if he did.
Yeah, hedge his bets. It makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
You were unlikely to find out that he did it.
Yeah.
And if you all die, he wins. If you come away with loot, he also wins. So
Yeah. Yes.
I have a really funny idea. We have not seen the leader of the Flatbread Uncles, Shorbot Das. Can he be in there, having a meeting?
Oh yeah, okay. Yes, you've involved the Bone Shakers, and Shorbot Das hates the Bone Shakers. So yes, that's... I think we can combine these, actually. Omid somehow tips them off that the Bone Shakers are going to be vulnerable here.
Omid.
This guy.
So yes, Shorbot Das will... I guess... Yeah, he can be there personally. If he dies as part of the score, it doesn't end the Flatbread Uncles. They're not... I don't think they're the kind of organization that hinge entirely on their leader. They're fairly democratic as criminal gangs go, so...
He's in the jacuzzi.
Okay, Shorbot Das is present. Fine, we'll see if he becomes relevant, but he is.
We'll make him relevant. Okay, so
that puts us at 3 dice, and then other elements to consider. He has higher tier, so that bumps you down to 2. And I think that's it.
No, we have door kickers. Take an extra dice.
Yes, I counted that in at the beginning. That's why I started you off with 2 dice.
Okay, nice.
So that's already accounted for. So you have 2 dice with that.
Who would like to roll for this?
Ooh, I'd like to roll.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Crew sheet. I always forget where that is though. Rolling engagement. It's down here with 2 die. Let's go. It's
Nice.
that's a 6.
Oh, all right.
Huh.
Let me think about
Shall
this
we
and
take
let's
a
take a 5-minute break.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
Here close the doors to the house of endings. Those who dwell within are Zoheb, called Klow, Aadiyat, called Soap, Saumitri, called Tree, and Salty. I have been Prince, your host. Our city of Uduasha is based on Blades in the Dark by John Harper and Evil Hat Productions, with special thanks to Johnstone Metzger. Follow us on Twitter or support us on kofi.com/desperateattune. If you want to engage further with us, we also have a Patreon at patreon.com/desperateattune, where you will get our newsletter, extra content, and updates from Uduasha.
On the next episode of Desperate Attune.
You guys did not bother looking into the proprietress of
No, we didn't.
of this area, but it does have a madam / an owner, and this lady is a woman named Nabila Ansetara, and no one knows what the fuck this means. That's not a demon.
What did
house
you
meeting
just
with
say
some
to
of those
me?
people.